Hello, and welcome to this week's Chatty Corner. So I didn't do one last week. Um, it just fell by the wayside. Um, for a number of reasons. I'm not going to go into here, because why not? So instead, this week I'm going to cover pretty much the same stuff that I wanted to cover last week, and then didn't because I didn't do the thing. So, yeah. So, Uncharted 3. Uncharted 3 finished a while ago. Not last weekend, but the weekend before. So let's have a quick little retrospective over everything that happened there. Of course, my reasons for doing Uncharted 3 were pretty much the same as Tomb Raider 2. I said back in Tomb Raider 2 it was a heavily requested thing. Lots of people were asking me when I was going to do Uncharted 3 because I'd done the previous two, and it kind of worked well with Tomb Raider 2. Since they're both adventure games around history and finding uncharted lands and raiding tombs and all that kind of stuff. And it's, yeah, they fit together. Both series have kind of taken from each other anyway, so that works too. Yeah, and of course decided to add in the facts and stuff like that. Like the fake facts, which I think at this rate are going to be coming back for Tomb Raider 3. Yeah. So there's that, really. I can't really go into the reasons for doing it in the same way. Obviously, I did a bit of a mini retrospective, a bit of a mini thing on what I thought, but I'm going to kind of go into some of that a little bit more here. Out of the two LPs, out of Tomb Raider 2, Uncharted 3 I think is definitely the weaker. I think Tomb Raider 2 I kind of worked better naturally with, because there's a lot of wandering around and there's a lot of gaps and things. Plus, I think there's a few more like completely ridiculous things that happen in Tomb Raider 2 because of like how old it is and just how silly some things look now and all that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, I love Tomb Raider. I love Tomb Raider 2. Tomb Raider 2 is an excellent game, but let's be honest, it's dated in some ways, and it's fine to make fun of these things. It's okay to criticize things that you love. But Uncharted 3 is kind of, well, it's only a few years old, and it's fairly modern, and it's got a lot of dialogue and plot as well, as is befitting a modern game. And the problem with dialogue and plot is that tends to interrupt my commentary a lot, so that kind of causes me to be like, oh, okay, never mind. See what I mean? It's that kind of system that's going on there, and that's kind of a problem. I do like how the LP overall turned out, though. There were points where it gave me a headache. The ship section, for instance, was kind of annoying because, like, I recorded. It was rough seas. I did all of that bit, and then I got on the ship, got on the cruise ship. Yeah, you did the bit where you kind of wander along the side of the cruise ship, and then you climb up the lifeboat, and then you go into the area where you've got all the shipping crates and everything. You've got the big muscle guy with this minigun. And then you go into the ballroom and you fight that, and those were two difficult fights, one after the other. And then I glanced over at Audacity, and it was recording really quietly, and I didn't know why that was. And then I looked over at my USB ports, and I noticed that my headset wasn't actually plugged in. So that was fun. And the problem with Uncharted 3 and Tomb Raider 2, I think I did a similar thing with Tomb Raider 2 with the Temple of Shan, but that I could just completely restart, but I had to do post commentary for that chapter because the problem with Uncharted, it's one of those modern games which auto saves all the goddamn time, and it also saves that you've collected treasures across playthroughs, so I couldn't go back into it and show off where all the treasures were because I'd picked up several along the way, and they were just gone forever because I'd picked them up already. So I just thought, screw it, post commentary, whatever. Plus, it meant that I could just skip out a lot of failed attempts at some of the difficult fights, which is what you ended up seeing. And then, of course, the final chapter is a similar situation. I started doing live commentary on chapter, what was part 15, but it wasn't chapter 15. I confused myself by doing that system. Because I was doing the parts in relation to Tomb Raider 2, which has 18 levels, so I condensed some of Uncharted 3 together, so there'd be 18 parts for that too. Yeah, I started recording that. It was the settlement chapter. Started recording that and kept dying constantly, and just went, you know what? Ripped my headset off my ahead and deleted the commentary and just went, I'm just gonna do this with post commentary, and that's what I did for the last few parts. But I figured because it was extra work, I delayed it a little bit. Didn't seem to have hurt the LP too much, I don't think. Yeah, I think I managed to pull off the post commentary quite well, thankfully, because it could have been a problem. It could have been really bad. It could have just been me getting very lost in what I was doing. Because that has happened in post-commentary stuff before, where it has been really obvious that I'm not actually playing the game, but I think I managed to create the illusion of me simultaneously playing the game a few times. I even had a comment from someone, I think it was on the ship chapter, where I mentioned about doing post-commentary about halfway through, and someone was like, wait, what? This is post-commentary? And that's what I wanted. I wanted that sort of reaction to come up. Obviously, anyone paying attention would have known it was post-commentary, so there you go. Yeah. It definitely didn't have Tomb Raider 2's audience. People definitely seem to be more attracted to the Tomb Raider stuff that I put out than some other LPs. And again, I think maybe that's because just I work better with Tomb Raider than I do with Uncharted, maybe. So yeah, there is that. It didn't really get much of a crossover with the PlayStation All-Stars crowd either, because they were all flooding to my channel during things, and of course that is a game that is represented in PlayStation All-Stars, so I figured some people might be potentially interested in seeing some where that came from, but whatever. I even referenced it twice in the LP, but in the, well, it was both times after I came back after a huge hiatus. I put in the victory thing after the fist fight with the fish, because it was relevant, and then I started the stowaway part with the stowaway intro, which, by the way, I recreated from scratch. I didn't just copy paste it. I used the same files and just rebuilt it from scratch, because why not? Well, the main reason I rebuilt it from scratch was simply because I think there were more edits in the original version, in the original stowaways, than I was willing to put into the Uncharted 3 part, because it was the middle part of 3. So there's a lot more editing going on there, and I wasn't doing it in sections like I do the PlayStation All-Star stuff. But it was a nice little feature that I put in, and not enough people mentioned about it. But it was built from scratch. Like I said, it used the same footage, because I never delete footage for LPs that I do. I keep everything just in case, and it's all there. So I just copied it across into the Uncharted 3 folder. But yes, if you didn't watch it, I would advise that you give it a look, because, there are a few, not as good as Tomb Raider, but it's definitely, I think it's still a good, solid LP. So yeah, there you go. I still stick by my opinion that I expressed in the credits, though, that I'm still a little bit disappointed by that game in relation to Uncharted 2. Some of the mechanics are great. I think some of the melee combat was definitely improved, and I think the fact that you could throw grenades back, really love that feature, to the point I actually recently went back and recorded some footage of Uncharted 2 for the PlayStation All-Stars items video. But when I went through that, there were numerous occasions while recording that where enemies were throwing grenades at me, and I was frantically trying to press triangle to throw the grenades back, and at times getting myself killed because of it, because I was too used to that mechanic, and suddenly it wasn't there anymore, and I was floundering around, desperate to know what to do about that. And that's a great mechanic when that can happen. If that happens, you go back to an earlier game and you genuinely miss a mechanic that was introduced in a sequel, then that mechanic's good, let's be honest. But there were definitely issues with the plot. I think things like, there was so much stuff. I think the problem with Uncharted 3 is so much of it is built up. It builds up so much stuff and then never pays off. It is constantly blueballing you, and it is ridiculous. Like, oh, Nathan Drake's not your real name. Let's find out some more about your history. Oh no, let's drop that plot point and not go into that anymore. Let's talk about these spiders, these seem really weird and supernatural, right? I'm not gonna really cover them much anymore. Ah, the djinn. The djinn. Ah, remember how you fought zombies and yetis? Now you might have to go up against djinn. They're all in Nate's head. It's all a hallucination, they're not actually real. And then when it comes to the actual vessel of brass that supposedly contains a djinn, it is destroyed in a cutscene, and then we just have a fist fight at the end of the game. And I thought also like Talbot having a fist fight at the end as his final battle, I thought was kind of definitely untapped potential, considering that for the whole game it was building him up as this magic man. He can do illusions and and all he does is punch you in the face at the end. And I'm like, okay, well, he attacks you with a knife. Okay, I'll give you that. But you know, when for most of the game he's might have magic powers, or he's just a really good illusionist. Either way would have been cool for you could implement that into a boss fight, but no, he just tries to stab you. I mean, come on, what was that? That's the thing. I think the problem with Uncharted 3 is it just doesn't pay anything off ever. It just constantly tries to like build stuff up and then never does anything with it, and it's like that's why the foreshadowing didn't really turn up, because at no point does anything pay off. That's the difference between Uncharted 1 and 2 and 3, is that I could do the foreshadowing thing very, very easily in Uncharted 1 and 2, because so much stuff that's hinted early on in the game pays off at the end, and that's why I can go foreshadowing. But I can't really do that in Uncharted 3, because like there'll be a thing that gets hinted at, and I'm just like, can't say anything about this, nothing happens with it, so whatever. So yeah, and I think Naughty Dog have gone on record to say that they were rushed in making that game, and I think that's what a part of it is. You've also got things like Cutter, because they were so determined to get the game out by a specific date, they couldn't work around Cutter's schedule. Not Cutter, but Graham McTavish's schedule, so they just dropped Cutter from the story halfway through, and that felt really awkward. You know, it would have been nice to kind of explore him more, especially because he was a new character that we hadn't seen before. So it would have been nice to spend a bit more time with him and get to know him a little better. It'd be nice to have an English character that Nate isn't trying to kill. So that would make sense. But yeah, it's all because Graham McTavish got himself a part in The Hobbit as one of the dwarves. Can't remember which one he is, but he's one of them. And part way through Uncharted 3's development, he's like, "Oh, I've got to go to New Zealand now. Bye." And because Naughty Dog were working to a schedule, they just wrote him out of the story. And I just think, could have done more with that if we'd had a bit more development time. So I'm not concerned about Uncharted 4 getting delayed, because I know that would probably be a question that someone's going to ask me at some point. Uncharted 4 being delayed, I'm cool with this, considering that Uncharted 3 sticking to its deadline led to a lot of untapped potential. And I think, as long as that time is used to make Uncharted 4 a little bit better, a little bit more concise, and able to pay off on its own build-up, then yeah, great, perfect, wonderful, cool. But yeah, I felt shortchanged. In fact, when it got to the end of the game, after the Talbot fist fight, and you got the cutscene where Drake and the Bedouins are all riding out of the city, and the trophy notification came up, and the first time I was playing, I was like, wait, what? That was it? And that's not how you want people to feel when your game ends, is wait, that was it? You want them to feel satisfied, and I didn't feel satisfied. I felt shortchanged. So, but never mind. I think going back and playing it again improved my opinion on it a little bit more, because I wasn't expecting so much from it this time, because I knew I'd be disappointed. And I was able to appreciate what actually was there a little bit more. But yeah, it was a tad disappointment. But it's still a good game, and I still enjoyed making the LP. And that, in the end, is what really matters. Then, of course, if you stayed to the end of Uncharted 3, you would have noticed something. A little preview. I've been building up to this preview for weeks anyway. But this particular preview was basically for Fatal Frame 2. Now, I was slightly nervous about this reveal because I was genuinely concerned about how people would react to me doing an LP of a game that I'd already done an LP of. Sort of. Okay, here's the situation with Fatal Frame 2. This is the third time that I've planned to Let's Play this game. It is cursed. This game is cursed, which is funny considering what the last LP was like. So the first time... Right, okay, let's trace this all the way back to the really old days of this channel. I did Let's Play Fatal Frame 1. Some of you might remember it. The playlist is still up. All the videos are still there, so you can go watch that if you want. Can't remember how good it is, but it's there if you want to go see it. So there it is. I did that for Halloween, and when I did that, I think I did something like I recorded 4 nights in a row, and just did the whole thing, and then uploaded it all around Halloween. I think I uploaded it over the week of Halloween or something like that. Which is a pretty fun way of doing it, actually, I've got to admit. And then I thought, oh, yeah, you know, why don't I do this again next year? Why don't I do Fatal Frame 2 and then maybe Fatal Frame 3 the year after? And I can't do Fatal Frame 4 or 5 because it looks like neither of them will ever get released in the West. Anyway, yeah, I had the idea of doing a Halloween special again, using Fatal Frame 2, and then for whatever reason, I think I just didn't do it. I might have taken a short break around October, November. It didn't really work out too well. But I had the intention of doing it. But it never happened, and then eventually I kind of dug up the idea again, and went, hey, why don't I Let's Play Fatal Frame 2, and that'll be really cool, right? And actually go back to that and actually do it this time. And I thought, because I'm not going to do it for initially I thought about doing it for Halloween, and thought of making it a really spooky LP by adding extra things, and then went, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to do it in March, whenever it was I thought of doing it. But I kept all the spooky elements, the extra things that were going to keep it spooky, and because I was watching a ton of Marble Hornets and all that at the time, I thought, let's put in some Slender Man stuff, both as a homage and a parody at the same time. And that's kind of where it happened. I went into that thinking, you know, let's spook people even more. It's a spooky game anyway, but let's spook them even more. But also kind of play around with some of the conventions of the Slender Man mythos and all of that. So I put in like little To the Ark references with the really creepy looking font, including some bits which were like me trying to recreate the sort of weird psychedelic styles of the To the Ark videos, which kind of give puzzle hints. I went back and watched one and it had footage of Crawler World in there, just dropped in because why not? It's a game that no one remembers, but it's in there. And I know I put Slender Man on deck. There's the Man on Deck photo, the Man on Deck ghost, and I put Slender Man in there, put Slender. But the problem with that LP was it was a bitch to edit. It really was a bitch to edit, and it was also really, like, I think I stopped around chapter 4. And I think the reason I stopped around chapter 4 is because I just lost track of what I was doing. And it's obviously not a good place to be. And I think I recorded the next 2 chapters with the intention of adding post-commentary to see if that would help, and then I just never did it, and I just abandoned the whole thing without any kind of fanfare. And I think at the same time, all of the Slender Man plot that I was putting in there was distracting from the game itself, and it was just not that great. I kind of wasn't going to do Fatal Frame 2 initially, I was going to do something else, I can't remember what, but I looked at my old list. I was looking through all my old LPs when I came back after my long break, and I was like, I've got some good stuff here. Never finished that Fatal Frame 2 LP, did I? Kind of want to finish that because I don't like leaving things unfinished, and it's a game that I like a lot and would like to play through. But I don't want to do the Slender Man stuff again. Since it'd be weird to just pick up where I left off and have none of the weird stuff in there anymore, I'm going to start again, and that is where we are now. This is the situation we're in now. I'm starting that game from scratch, and I'm going to do a brand new
Let's Play of it, which I'm referring to as the reboot Let's Play, because I'm rebooting the whole thing. Starting from the beginning, in a literal sense, I'm starting the game again. This time it's a more normal playthrough of the game. The only caveat with this one is that I'm going to be trying to show off the full Spirit list. Spirit list, if you haven't played the game, when you beat the game, you get a New Game Plus. In the New Game Plus, there is a list of ghosts that you have captured with your camera. And this is basically 100%ing the game, essentially. Obviously, those of you who played the game, you know that some ghosts can only be captured in a New Game Plus. I'm going to show off all the ghosts. How's that going to be factored in? Well, simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to edit them in. I'm going to do 2 playthroughs simultaneously, but one of those playthroughs will be the LP itself with live commentary, and then at appropriate points I will edit in footage of a second run in a New Game Plus, which simply shows off the New Game Plus only ghosts. I've already done chapter 1, but it's not going up yet. I want to get a little bit of a backlog going. But yeah, they're kind of edited in appropriately, and that's kind of, you might think, oh, but didn't you say it was a bitch to edit the Slenderman thing? It was, because it was kind of random and there was a lot of it, and in order to keep the illusion going I needed to put in little bits and pieces here and there. This time, however, I've got like specific points that I'm putting in a small bit of footage, and it is literally just like, oh, we've reached this point where I need to put a New Game Plus ghost in, I'll put that in. I've done 5 in chapter 1, but there's only 4 New Game Plus ghosts. Yeah, I missed one in the main run. So that's another way I'll do it. Is like anything that I missed will go into the New Game Plus run, and I'll get it there. So that's kind of fun. That's going to be good. Chapter 1 is recorded, and I actually finished editing it today, because I'd done part of it, but I hadn't done it all. I will be putting up little clips of that, but only if you're a patron on my Patreon. This is another way of getting you to donate to my Patreon. If you can afford to donate $5 a month to my Patreon, please do so, and you'll get little previews of this LP before it even goes up. Already put the first one out there. You didn't know if you weren't subscribed, if you weren't giving me money already. So there you go, that's going to go there, and it's going to be good. And yes, this will be the second week with no Let's Play update. There will be 3 weeks with no Let's Play update, so that's basically next week, and then Battleframe will start up the week after. And I'm going to try and keep it going on a weekly basis like I did with Tomb Raider. And that's because I built up a backlog beforehand, and then, yeah, and that's what I want to do this time as well, because that works quite well. So, like I said, if you want to get little snippets of it beforehand, then donate some money, give me money, and I'll reward you with previews, yeah! So, there is that link down in the description, as always, as there is on all my videos now. So that's an LP update simultaneously with all of that, which is cool. At the time of recording, Relic went up over the weekend, I think, from what I remember. So that leaves 4 more main videos for PlayStation All Stars. Got Invasion, got Fat Princess, got Dojo, and I've got the items video. There are so many people who keep asking me if I'm going to do an items video, despite the fact that I've confirmed it about a million times at this point, so I'm not going to answer anybody's question about that. Yes, I'm doing an items video. Stop asking me, please. I don't even know where I put it on the forum. I put it on all the videos. It's these things. I've mentioned it several times here, and still people keep asking me, and I'm just like, where are you? Are you not paying attention to anything that I'm putting out there? There is an items video coming. Relax. So yeah, there's those 4, plus extras. Still struggling with some of the extras a little bit. So yeah, that needs to be fixed. I haven't started Invasion though. Whoops. I'm probably going to start some of it after I record this. But yeah, can't give you an estimate on when that's going up yet. It'll be up when it's done. It's Killzone, so I'm like, yeah,
Plus, I'm never particularly enthusiastic about stage videos anyway. I think that's everything I've got to say for this week. So, as final thing, again, please, if you can, donate to my Patreon. Please follow me on Twitter. I'm going to make an attempt to start posting on my blog more, so please follow my blog at thecheapferret.wordpress.com. Link in the description. Oh, one more thing. You guys did give me some Let's Play recommendations, and I haven't actually gone through them yet. So, if you're wondering about that, I'm still sitting on it. Sorry. But if you've got any more recommendations of good Let's Players out there, let me know, and I'll do things. So, yeah. I think that's everything then. So I'll see you next time, whenever that is, probably next week. Goodbye.